Hey. So today I'm going to be explaining how highlighting with concealer can change your face. All right, so similar to contour, highlighter is kind of like contour's counterpart. So we use contour to create like a shadow and push things back in space. So you'll place it, like if you haven't seen my contour video or how contour changes your face, I'll put that somewhere. But we'll place it in an area where your face naturally casts a shadow, and it helps to push that area back in space, which in turn allows the area that is lighter to come forward in space. Concealer is used to highlight to make those areas come forward in space even more. So you can use them together, you can use just contour, you can use just highlight, you can do kind of like what is referred to as reverse contouring. I guess what we're doing today is kind of a form of that, like reverse contouring. So basically what I'm gonna be showing you is how I use highlighter to bring certain areas of the face forward. So today, for the purpose of this, I'm going to be using the Benefit Boing Concealer, Cakeless Concealer. This is one of my favorite concealers. It's nice and lightweight. It is a really nice coverage. I'm gonna be using number 2. Compared to my foundation that I use today, it's probably, which is the LC Cosmetics Micro Silk Foundation, it's probably like a shade and a half to 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. But I wanted to use something that was like relatively light to actually show you the difference. So I don't have any concealer on my face right now, just foundation. I did go in with a color corrector underneath my eyes to color correct my dark circles, so just like a little bit of a peach. So I like to start off with my forehead. Now, if you watched my, was it my bronzer, how bronzer changes your face video, I like to bring my hairline down a little bit because I do have kind of a large forehead. So keeping that in mind, I like to draw more attention to this area of my face. So placing the bronzer up here kind of helps to push that back, make my forehead look a little bit smaller, and then placing the highlight here just kind of like intensifies that a little bit. It draws more of the attention to like this spot right here. This is going to be very weird to do it on one side of my forehead. So basically like right above my eyebrow, just here. And like something that you want to try to do is try to maintain the product in the area that you place it. Because a lot of the time people will put something down and then as soon as they start blending it, it kind of just like goes everywhere. So try to like keep your motions nice and small, focusing the pigment in the area that you want to begin with. And then you can kind of like go in and just like lightly tap it out so that it doesn't look like, you know, just a random like light blob. All right, so obviously it's gonna look strange because this area does not have it, but we're bringing the attention more so here. I also like to kind of highlight this area, but again, it's a little bit difficult considering I'm doing it on one side. Anyway, then for underneath my eyes, I typically like to just kind of like highlight this entire area. Like I really like to do that. I like to bring my concealer here because if I place it up on my cheekbone, it kind of intensifies my high cheekbones. It also, doing it in this manner, kind of like adds a lift to the eye. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right here on the cheekbone, and then I'm gonna kind of follow my natural eye shape. Just follow that lift, and I'm gonna bring it right up to the temple. And again, I'm doing nice light motions to keep the product like where I want it. And then I can just like slowly start to blend it out. All right, so see how doing that just kind of like brings that eye line upward? So it kind of like, I did this in my Bella Hadid Fox Eye makeup tutorial. So if you saw that, then you might know what I'm talking about. It just kind of helps to create that like eye line. And then the closer you bring it to your eye, the tighter it's going to be. And obviously the more angled you keep it, the more it's going to like accentuate that cat eye effect. Another thing that I really like to do is to kind of make my nose look a little bit more narrow. Because as you can see, like I have kind of a large bone here. It also kind of like my nose tends to like lean this way. And then it goes, yeah, basically just goes like, whoops, like that, which I don't love. So I try to straighten it out a little bit, and especially on this side because you can see there's like more of a bump. So what I do is I like to take a little bit of the highlighter and really highlight that area. When we're looking straight ahead like this, you can see a like definitive shadow on either side of my nose, basically. So by lightening this area, it kind of helps to trick the eye into thinking that like this part of the nose is actually on the same plane as the cheek. Just watch what I'm gonna, just watch. So I'm going to highlight basically this whole area. Again, focusing the pigment in like the area that I want. I did put kind of a lot down, so I'm just gonna like blot my sponge, a paper towel, which I like always have a paper towel. And then I'm gonna go in, just like slowly diffuse that line. But I don't want the whole nose to turn like white. You can also like turn your sponge around and just kind of like use a clean side to diffuse that line a little more. Okay, so this is like so crazy to look at in the monitor, but see now like how much different it looks. Like it's still, I mean, obviously like my nose goes that way, so it's not like you're doing this like plastic surgery magic, but it definitely looks less apparent. It just looks like a little bit straighter. Then another thing that I like to do with highlight is kind of just highlight my chin a little bit, because I got like a tiny little chin. So what I like to do, in this area, I get like a lot of darkness around my mouth, especially the corners of my mouth. It drives me crazy. So if I take like a tiny bit and just put it right in here. So I don't want my like jaw to look huge. Like I don't want to look like masculine or manly, but I like to just kind of like highlight this area to bring that forward, make it look maybe just like a little more strong. Blend it there and then up. Another thing that I like to do occasionally, I don't do this all the time, but if I'm trying to go like super glam, is take a little bit of this concealer and use it to carve out my cheekbone. So you can see like right here is where the shadow is. So I'm gonna take this concealer and I'm just gonna place a teeny little bit just under that and then use that sponge to highlight this area. I'm gonna turn it. So I put down a little too much. Focusing it in that area and just kind of like slowly diffusing it, because I don't want to like lose the definition, but I also don't want it to end up going like absolutely everywhere. All right, very simple. But if I turn my face like this, you can see a lot more definition. You can see like a little bit of a, you know, cheekbone, eye, chin, whatever. And then when I turn like this, it's just like, more natural. That's it. Super simple. But keep in mind, it just looks so much more lifted over here, especially this eye, you know what I mean? Like this looks so lifted, it's crazy. Anyway, I don't really do this if I'm not contouring, if I'm not going for glam. So keep in mind that you can use these two things together, but if you also don't really like the way contour looks on you, you can do what is reverse contouring basically. And if you feel like you want to do this, but the concealer ends up making you look like too light, you can use a foundation that's like maybe a shade or two darker than your face and then go in with a concealer that works, and then you can basically like even it out. You basically end up, it's kind of like negative space drawing, if that makes sense. But it can end up looking like a little bit softer, and it's kind of a good way to practice contouring if you are feeling a little bit unsure about it. So yeah, once again, that's it. Super simple. Let me know what you want to see next. We'll continue the dude series. I'm down. I gotta go.